welcome to the Keyboard Road Warrior with me, Movie Scouse 007, where we play Euro Truck Simulator 2 with a keyboard and on a laptop. So we managed to get our first excellent since we've been back from the post-beta disaster, and we're in Białystok, which is about the furthest northeast that you can get in the map as it stands at the moment. It's part of the going east part of the map. We are going to repair and rest, and then we're going to look at what's available. And if there's nothing leading to a capital, then I think what we'll probably do is we'll buy the garage in Białystok. Although I'm thinking we might hang on to the money anyway. So let's drive. Let's go and repair. So we need to take a right turn out of here. Let's whack the parking brake off. But we don't need the high beams on. Let's go after this bus. So we were talking about Formula One at the in the last video. I think I pretty much covered the Melbourne Grand Prix. Oh no, I haven't. No, there's a whole bunch of stuff I haven't. Yeah, planned. So I want to talk about the race itself, and what happened. So I think during the practice sessions and qualifying, it became very clear that the doomsayers and naysayers who were claiming that Red Bull would be rubbish were proved pretty much false. While Vettel didn't qualify very well, his teammate Daniel Ricciardo qualified extremely well. He came He finished second in the at the end of qualifying, and was in fact quite strong all the way through the weekend. So let's have a look at this. Our 1% is tyres. You can see all the others are double digits: 46, 27, 14, 29. It's £184 for wheels. Wheels are a real expense when running a trucking industry, or running a trucking empire, sorry. So let us get some rest. And engine off. Hopefully our 3 rest pattern should take us to the... Yeah, it's going to take us to about lunchtime. Oh God, late afternoon, that's not good. Right, let's quickly check the job market, see if we can get ourselves some, I say it every time, some gainful employment. So, we are in Białystok. You can see the furthest east we can go. Turku in Finland gives us £62,000. It's a 40-hour journey, give or take. Croydon, which we've not been to, is a 27-hour journey, and it gives us 61, just under 62. That's forklifts. We have a history with forklifts. Białystok to Lyon. We've been to Lyon. We've been to Turku. We haven't been to Croydon. I think we should probably go to Turku, though. Takes us within a cough and a spit of Helsinki, which is the capital of Finland. Is there another capital to go to? London we got recently. Brno, we got that. No, there's no capital. What should we do? I'm confused. What should I do? Let's go to Croydon, because Croydon is a place we haven't been to. And we've decided that we're not going to be... we did decide that we weren't going to be visiting places that we hadn't been to, unless we were driven through them by the GPS. So I think that's pretty much the best I can get. It's a bit annoying. That's about as good as it gets for views of the entire... I do wish you could scale that like you can in the real map. Sorry, in the actual map. But you can't. So, let's take 8.3 rated ass to our pickup point. We have got a lot of money, £762,000. Białystok seemed to be very empty there for a moment. So the first two practice sessions on the Thursday, lovely weather, nice and hot and sunny, a little bit of wind because obviously we are near a coast, and the race is happening around a lake, so you get a bit of wind. So there was that. Yeah, I think I can cope with £80. And that guy was far too slow. And we just got £11,000, so not worried. The only thing I'm worried about is damage at this point. It's not to the tractor, but to the load. I'm not that bothered if my little Veronique is dented, but the load it's become my mission to get the load there completely unmolested. Right, so this is our left turn. So yes, we were kind of up with. Vettel wasn't really setting the times on fire. Ricciardo had a couple of good sessions, but he also wasn't, setting the world alight, and he wasn't demonstrating a Red Bull dominance, which is what we've come to expect in the last 4 years. Well, crap. Ah, you're kidding me. This is driving at its worst. This is my driving at its worst. I have no idea how I managed to do that, but that was appalling and completely unnecessary, and I've no idea what the hell I was doing. Right, so let's collect our forklifts. The forklifts of death. The forklifts that spin in amongst the clouds. If you don't know what I'm talking about, in a previous video, I think video for 69, Journey 69, I collected a load, and then while I was buying my garage and filling it with drivers and trucks... Oh, you swine. Completely... Right, second journey on the trot, where I have completely cocked up hooking up the trailer. I mean, completely cocked it up. Like, I've probably done a fraction of a % of damage, which will not stand me in good stead if I do things like grazing the grazing the truck against objects. Right. I only need to look that way because that's the way I'm going. Kind of stuck. I am sorry that I managed to get a cold before we flew to Melbourne. So I was sitting in the baking heat in Melbourne with a runny nose and a sore throat and phlegm everywhere, streaming eyes, if you think having a cold in the winter is unpleasant, try having one in the summer. The only positive is that my nose didn't get cracked and chapped, as it will do in winter. So for the first two practice sessions on the Friday, baking heat, lovely weather, nothing much to speak of in terms of surprises. Jerez and is it Dubai or Bahrain? Abu Dhabi, I forget now, but the Middle Eastern practice sessions proved that the Mercedes-engined vehicles were going to be the ones to be in. Renault wasn't going to be particularly good, and that Williams was going to be a very nice car to drive. They possibly primarily because they managed to get themselves that Mercedes engine. Let's use my indicators, just for shits and giggles. So one of the surprise moves, well, not one of the surprise moves, I mean, Massa was clearly leaving Ferrari. he wasn't... I don't think Alonso cared whether Massa drove for them or not, but I think Ferrari themselves want more points because they want a Constructors' Championship, and Massa wasn't delivering enough points to get them that Constructors' point. Alonso almost certainly getting them enough points, doing his bit, but I think they felt that Massa, since his accident in Hungary when they spring from the back of Barrichello's brawn ripped off and ripped a giant hole in his helmet. I think they held on to him out of respect and compassion, but I think they felt that the time had come. He managed to get himself a seat at Williams, and it seems like a good fit. I mean, Bottas and Massa seem to be doing quite well together. They qualified quite well, given that they've been awful for quite a while, that they haven't had money, that this historic team seemed to be going the way that Lotus went. I want to be clear, there is a team named Lotus in Formula 1 at the moment. I do not consider this team Lotus. I consider them Enston. They wear the Lotus badge and they wear Colin Chapman's Lotus logo, but as far as I'm concerned, they are not Lotus. They don't have any of the Lotus DNA. They're not based in Norfolk. They are a French team that is the former Renault team. With all of the former Renault team staff, fewer of them now than there were a year ago, but with the team, the team consider themselves Enston. They wear the Lotus badge because it got them dispensations, and they were allowed. This is the wonderful thing about having a crap butt ton of money, is that I don't have to worry about speeding fines and wrong way fines and red light fines anymore. Where when you start, so I've just got $7,000. One of my drivers has just earned $7,000 for the business. So yes, I do not consider the team that carries the Lotus name to be true Lotus. So I thought Williams were going to go the way of Lotus, where in 5-10 years' time someone would buy up the name and pretend they were Williams, and you know, be wearing the Williams badge, as it were. But no, they've managed to get themselves this fantastic Mercedes engine, which seems to be the dogs. It seems to be the mutts nuts at the moment. Mercedes really have worked out how to make this turbo engine work properly. So that meant that it looked like Williams were going to have a good race at Albert Park, that they were going to have a good run of it. Qualifying was a bit weird. It actually started to rain. It did. I wouldn't say it rained heavily. I've experienced much greater rains. Qualifying at Silverstone in 2012 was much worse than qualifying at Albert Park. But it did throw a bit of a spanner in the works. Stuff happened that changed the dynamic of the race. I think the thing that made me laugh the most was Vettel's failure to make it into qualifying 3. My amusement at that was tempered by Jenson Button also just at the last minute failing to make it. Now Vettel didn't make it because his car wasn't fast enough and he wasn't fast enough. But Button kind of got a little bit screwed up by a last minute crash by Kimi Räikkönen. The last sort of 3 or 4 minutes of the qualifying last 2 or 3 minutes of the qualifying session, where the first 2 sections of the track were performed under double yellows because Kimi Räikkönen shoved the nose of his Ferrari into a wall, and that a number of drivers, I think, were naughty and sped through that section in order to get their qualifying times, to get quite good qualifying times. Whoa! And I think Jensen sometimes can be a little bit too honest, and I think he could probably have got a fraction here or a fraction there and managed to get himself into the 3rd qualifying session, but he didn't. He was fixed at 11th. Valtteri Bottas, I think, qualified in 7th, but he had to have a gearbox change, which was unfortunate, and a gearbox change meant that he had a 5-place grid penalty. That punted Jensen up to 10th, and Vettel, who was in 12th, up to 11th. Jensen had a good race, and considering he was so far back, I think he had a very, very good race. When they had quite an early, the first corner, Massa was punted off the circuit by Kamui, the Japanese driver. Kamui just was going too fast, was driving through the middle, tangled with a couple of cars, lost traction, couldn't brake, and then he just drove right up the rear of Massa, forcing him off at the first corner. So that was the end. 1 Williams out already. But Valtteri Bottas was doing really well, incredibly well, powering his way through the field. I think he got himself as high as 6th at one point, and then he had a little moment. He brushed the wall coming out of a corner, which caused a puncture and cracked the wheel, and everyone thought that was the end of his race, and it did cause a safety car. Jenson Button just happened to be in exactly the right place at the right time, came straight in for his tyres, and was out in the circuit, and he jumped about 4 or 5 places, getting himself in, I think, as high as 3rd at one point. So he got off. He changed a set of softs for another set of softs, and got himself reasonably well positioned. We all thought Bottas's race was over. We thought that was it, that he wasn't going to take any further part in the race. But the team investigated his suspension. When he came in, he said he clearly they decided they wanted to try and put new tyres on and see if they could get the... Whoa. Did I damage the load? Yes. Shit. That's annoying. I got an excellent, and then impatience has meant another. I'm not going to get... this is going to happen throughout my Euro Truck Simulator 2 career. I'm going to get impatient, I'm going to drive too fast, I'm going to take shortcuts. It's going to happen all the time. Excellents aren't going to be a thing that happens as regularly as I would like. So he got back out. He dropped something like 12th, repairing because he drove with 3 wheels back to the pits. Got a new wheel, new tyre, 4 new tyres, and then he fought his way back. And I think given the circumstances, I think Bottas's performance was really encouraging, incredibly good, and a real sort of positive sign for the Williams team. Really encouraging for the Williams team. I think they can be quite excited about 2014. Marussia looked awful, and they were awful, and were it not for the fact that a handful of cars expired, crashed, or stopped racing for one reason or another, they wouldn't have their cars wouldn't have finished where they finished. Although I think one of them didn't actually finish the race. I am concerned for Caterham. I think their car performs their car's performance is as ugly as its appearance. It was a good sign for Mercedes. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton didn't do very well. He polled. He got pole. He polled. I hate that. To pole is not a verb. He got a pole position, but his car died on him almost from the very beginning. He was swamped by traffic before the first corner, and I think he only lasted a couple of laps before it became abundantly clear that his engine had thrown a cylinder. It sounded really weird. I mean, all the cars sound weird this season compared to the previous seasons, but this one sounded particularly weird. But his qualifying performance was excellent. Nico Rosberg, who'd qualified third, he took over the leading role for Mercedes, and led almost all of the race, if not all of it. It was an imperious performance, and I think it demonstrates that Mercedes, if they can get the reliability issue that they had with Hamilton's car sorted, I wouldn't give high odds. I would give on them winning the constructors' title at the very least, because I think those two cars are going to place high at most circuits. Red Bull, Ricciardo did well, but I think there's a possibility that their poor performance might have been masked by an issue with a fuel flow regulator. Now, I mentioned in the last video that I would talk about fuel flow regulators because it was going to be an important issue. The FIA want to limit the amount of fuel that an engine gets in order to limit its performance. Again, because they want Formula One to appear to be fuel efficient, green and environmentally friendly. I think this is a nonsense. I think we should accept Formula One for what it is. But this is what the FIA wants. Now, they put fuel flow regulators in. A sensor which determines... Sorry, not regulators, a sensor which detects how much fuel is going into the engine from the fuel tank. It's a device which is manufactured under license by for the FIA. It's a part that the teams are required to fit. Now, every other team managed to get theirs to work perfectly fine, not Red Bull. And Red Bull claimed that there was a fault with the first one they were given and the second one they were given. I don't believe that for a second. I think that Red Bull were trying to take as many liberties as they could. And I think that is what managed to mask their poor performance and what managed to get Daniel Ricciardo into the second place that he finished in. He was stripped of that second place after the race. He was disqualified, and Kevin Magnussen, McLaren debutant Kevin Magnussen, was hoisted up to second place, and Jenson Button was hoisted up to third. Now, Red Bull have appealed the decision. I very much doubt they will be successful, and I think they might already be working on a way of making sure that they don't breach the fuel flow regulations for Malaysia, which is coming up this week. Well, by the time you've watched it, it will have happened months ago. That's the problem with me talking about contemporary issues, is that on this video, on these videos, is that by the time you watch them, they're 2 months out of date. I think they were trying to push the rules, and I think they got caught. And although they're appealing, I don't think they stand a chance. They might. You never know. Stranger things have happened. Things I thought would never change, decisions I thought that wouldn't get overturned, have been overturned, and decisions I thought were ridiculous and should be overturned haven't been. So we won't know, and for a little while, until the let's put my main beams on so I can see where the hell I'm going. So we'll see, but that was an issue. So at the checkered flag, the top five were Rosberg, Ricciardo, Magnussen, Button. Oh crikey, who finished fifth? I forget now. Might have been Bottas, actually. Not sure. Or did he finish sixth? He finished quite high. It was an excellent performance. So I think the winners from this race were the Williams team, Valtteri Bottas, the Mercedes team absolutely. McLaren seemed to have pulled themselves around from the disastrous 2013 season where they couldn't buy a decent performance. And I think it's likely that McLaren might actually manage a race win this season. I don't know whether they'll manage title this season. I would like it. I would like Button to get a second title. He's running out of time for it. I am actually kind of rooting a little bit for Felipe Massa. He was a proper whinger at Ferrari before he had his accident. I thought it was particularly unpleasant to listen to press conferences, but I think he mellowed. I don't know whether it was because I think that he felt quite hard done by. I think he felt like he probably wasn't going to win. Oh, hello, I didn't want to do that. I think he felt like he was clinging on to the title shot in 2008. And I think he felt particularly aggrieved. There were some petulant comments about Timo Glock moving aside to allow Lewis past, which is a complete bloody nonsense, and the sort of thing a child would say. It's the sort of thing I would expect to come out of Mark Webber's mouth, not someone like, you know. But at the time, Felipe was quite young. He's not that young anymore. He's not as old as Jenson. Jenson is the elder statesman of Formula One now, which I find a little bizarre. I remember his first racing season when he drove 1 year for Williams and startled everyone with his speed and fluidity. And then I remember the 2 troubled years he had at Renault, and then the disaster that was British American Racing, which subsequently became Honda, which ultimately morphed into Brawn, which got him his title. So the people that surprised me most, Bottas, obviously. He's a little ragged. There's a few sort of sharp edges to sort of iron out yet. Kevin Magnussen, absolutely, what a performance! Jumping from a much slower formula to the ultimate formula, the ultimate racing formula, Formula One. That was a startling performance to get a podium, which looks like, unless Red Bull's appeal is successful, it's a second place. Mercedes. Mercedes have always been sort of bubbling under. They've never really been, I mean, they got 3 race wins last season, which I think they're the only team that won a race apart from Red Bull and Lotus. Lotus won one race, the Albert Park victory that Raikkonen got, before his relationship with Lotus sadly soured. So yes, that was interesting. That's kind of a progression. They've been ordinary for the first sort of 3 years, and then they suddenly picked themselves up, and it was quite impressive. They are a German team, but they're based in Britain, in much the same way that Red Bull are an Austrian team, but they're all based in Britain, and almost all of the employees are British. It's the same for Force India, an Indian team, but Indian in name only, because all their team is essentially British. And Caterham. Caterham, I think, consider themselves British. Yes, very interesting. Not impressed with Lotus. They've got no money. Grosjean couldn't get on track. Didn't put in a qualifying lap. Wasn't particularly good. And his teammate, I can't remember whether it's Swede Ericsson or not, but his teammate didn't qualify particularly well. Marussia, disaster back at the grid as always. Caterham near the back of the grid as always. No improvement from them, and it's quite sad. And they've got by far and away the ugliest car on the circuit. Bar none. There's no question that is a hideous car to look at. Ferrari, not a good performance. Alonso, I think it was Alonso that finished 5th. Yeah, Bottas finished 6th. Alonso, that Alonso could only manage 5th with this car speaks volumes of the poor performance of this vehicle. Alonso is a guy that managed to wrench a dreadful Renault to 2 world titles. So that he can't get a when you can't get a podium, speaks volumes. £63. So there's that. So who else? Red Bull we've talked about. They're not looking. They're looking like they've got issues. They're a big team. They're very clever people. They'll get around those issues. But I'm not sure that they will get round those issues in time for a driver's title, and certainly don't think they've got them. They'll get them sussed for a constructor's title. And while I think they've got 2 excellent drivers, Vettel as 4 years on the trot has proven excellent, and the 5th year before that he was second behind. So I think there's no doubting that he's an excellent driver. Ricciardo did reasonably well in the Red Bull and has proved himself an excellent master of the Albert Park circuit. Now, we'll see what he's like on a non-Australian circuit with non-partisan support. It has to be said, as I said, I've only experienced 3 British Grand Prix live before. This was my first non-British Grand Prix. The Australians will follow the Australian driver. Now, that meant, until recently, Mark Webber, because he was in the best equipment and in the best position. Daniel Ricciardo is now the number 1 driver for Australia in Formula 1. In fact, he's the only Australian driver in Formula 1 at the moment. He's had 1 good race, we'll see. There were a lot of Mark Webber paraphernalia still this year. We'll see whether Daniel Ricciardo can replace Mark Webber in Australian hearts over this season. It'll be interesting to see how well he performs. Right, I'm going to start looking at how much time I've got before I've got to rest. 5 hours, okay. And where am I in the world? I am keep driving past Poznan. I'm still in Poland. That's the Polish border there. So I'm not far from Germany. This is going to be two rest stops, but thankfully one of them should be on the ferry. I do hope it's not a Channel Tunnel journey, because that will mean I have to eat extra time. And this is an urgent delivery. I've got 41 hours, so I've got twice the time I need. Yeah, I need to make up some serious time in order to give me that second 11 hours, just in case this journey takes me across the Channel Tunnel. Which I won't know until I get to the port or railway station. But I am going to have to think about resting soon, primarily because I'm running out of video time. Ooh, that was a bit of oversteering. So, it's the first time I've seen the first race of the season live. It was a fantastic experience. It was quite familiar. As I said, a lot of the support staff is sourced by the FIA. The merchandise tents are pretty much the same. I think they pack them up and take them from circuit to circuit. They hire a lot of British staff, it would appear, because I recognise a few people from Silverstone, and a lot of the merchandise people seem to be travelling from race to race. So I will know. We are planning on going to the British Grand Prix this season, so we're going to have our first Formula 1 season where we've attended 2 races. The ultimate aim for us, actually, probably have to wait until we retire, is to follow the Formula 1 circus around the world. So to go from race to race. That's one of our ambitions for 1 year, to just to go to all 17, 18, 19, 20, however many races there happen to be in a season, and to do that. That's our goal. We'll see how we do with that. Obviously, I'm closer to retirement than my wife. My wife's a little bit younger than me. And we're not wealthy. If we were wealthy, I probably wouldn't be doing this on a shitty laptop. I'd be doing it on a nice big rig with a capture card. But I am investigating capture cards. What I might do in the short term is get you can get a capture card which plugs into a laptop and records footage onto an SD card. And the capture card is the size of it's smaller than a PlayStation 3 controller. It's a lot smaller than an Xbox 360 controller. It's sort of like an extremely large bar of soap, but black, with lights and stuff. So that's going to be fun. As you can see, I'm impatient as ever. This time I got away with it. Alright. £42 this time. You can see how we're getting quite wealthy, £827,000. What will happen is that we will start to earn significantly more. I mean, if I went from capital to capital at some point in the near future, in the next sort of 3 or 4 levels, with enough garages, enough drivers earning money for me, I'll get to the point where even buying a garage at every stop, I will still have a large chunk of cash left over. Wow. I felt sure that I was going to crash there. Oh, Goodness me. This has been a significantly longer journey than I thought it was. So I'm going to have to start thinking about a rest spot soon. I've got 3 hours. I've got 19 hours left in my estimated delivery time. I've probably got about 39 to 40 hours left to actually do the journey. I've got 11 hours of useful driving time before I have to take an 11-hour rest, so that's 22 hours. And then I'll have to possibly have to have a second rest, unless I can manage to make it so that I am travelling on a ferry, which would be my preferred option. The Channel Tunnel gives you a chunk of time back, which will possibly mean that I don't have to take a second rest break where I'm not travelling. It's one of the good things about having a journey where part of it's on a ferry with a long journey. Let's kiss those apexes. Formula One styley. So which teams haven't I talked about? I've talked about McLaren, I've talked about Ferrari, I've talked about Williams, I've talked about Red Bull, I've talked about Lotus, Caterham, Marussia. Who have I not discussed? Toro Rosso. Not bad. The two drivers did really well, but I think ultimately I don't think they did as well as they possibly could have. I mean, they're on this. The problem for Toro Rosso is they've got the same Ferrari engine as the Red Bull team, but they don't share the same facilities. They actually manufacture the Toro Rosso in Italy. It had to be a separate team. Initially, what happened was one of the teams, I think it was Minardi, became Spiker, and then they became something else. And they were bought up by Red Bull and run as a second. So they had essentially for a couple of years they had 4 cars, and then at some point the FIA had inserted a clause allowing them to buy this other team on the understanding that it became a separate team ultimately, and that's what did happen. And in fact, for a number of years, while Red Bull were running Renault engines, Toro Rosso were running Ferrari engines. So they were very much a different team. The cars do look different. But we're taking another detour. We're joining a road we've already driven on now, which is sad. I'd like to drive on roads I haven't driven on. That's something that I'm going to have to look at. Ultimately, when I've visited every city, is to look where I've been and where I want to go from those cities. That will be, don't worry, that'll be the sort of thing that I figure out offline. So that if I'm in a town, I shall look for destinations that lead me down roads. Look at all the cities and look for destinations that lead me down roads I haven't visited yet. I won't put you through that. I put you through enough when I'm buying trucks and recruiting drivers, and when I'm visiting cities and driving around them relentlessly, trying to uncover the whole road network. Obviously, my hope is that Copenhagen will be fixed by the ProMods 1.6 update, which they won't launch until SCS have released their 1.9 update. They've stated that they're probably only going to stick 2 cities in, because I don't think they've got anything near enough to being ready. One of the two that they're putting in, I think, are Angers and Poitiers. Those are the 2 French cities that they are putting in. Now, my understanding is that the guy who was working on Spain has ceased working on Spain because it's taking so long to get to Spain. And he's working on Italy, but he's only working on 1 Italian city. So what will happen is I will lose the Italian mod, which is Modena and Parma, and I will get Genoa. but ultimately I know that ProMods will go down into Italy. Now, they stopped working on Euromir, which is Eastern Europe, Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, and a little bit of Russia, so that they could get the Christmas release down and in time for Christmas Day. They all worked to get the 9 French cities, 2 British cities, and one Swedish city ready for the Christmas Day update. I don't know whether that means that that the guy who's doing Euromir is back on Euromir. They've also stated they're going into Ireland. I don't know how much of Ireland has been done. He's already said that the country's probably going to take them about 18 months. I think. Yeah, I sideswiped a car, but I have no idea how I didn't get a penalty of any description for that. And I really do have to look for a rest spot. And we've got one coming up, hopefully. So that's the plan. So yes, it was an as I said in the previous video, or earlier in this video, they were expecting rain to occur on the race day, and it didn't actually happen in qualifying. And race day was fine. It didn't rain at all. It alternated between quite hot and quite windy, and in fact, it had been quite windy all week, which contributed to quite a few cars going off. The end of the main straight, where the drivers are using the DRS, which is wider. Oh crap! Right, let's go backwards. Thankfully, this is a big enough one. I think I can go in backwards, provided nothing comes up while. Flippin' idiot. No. Oh, sod it. Do you know what? I'm at the stage now where I've done enough damage to the truck. I think I'm going to put some fuel in as well. So I'm going to put some fuel in, I'm going to have a sleep, and then I'm going to break the video up. Well, the question is, where is my fuel? Yeah, it's there. Enough. I need to have a look at how much damage I've done to the lorry. I'm probably at 2% now, or 3%, maybe even more. So, £1.16 is an awful lot more than the 96 pence I was paying in Białystok. Was it Białystok? No, sorry. It wasn't Białystok, it was Copenhagen. £726 for 621.92 litres of fuel. Right, let's go and stick ourselves in a rest spot and get some sleep. Right. Okay. I'm going to pause the video and be back in a second. Right. Let's get cracking. We have daylight, we have a ferry or train to catch, and we have 16 hours to do it in. So we're 4 hours short. Wow. We're close to £1 million. It might be that we have a lot more than £1 million by the time we're in a position to purchase our next garage. So, now that I'm on the home leg of a journey, I felt comfortable not having my timer up, so I've actually got the race results from the Grand Prix. So I'm going to review them in reverse order of position. Obviously, post-race, the FIA have listed Daniel Ricciardo as a DSQ, disqualification, and as such, he gets nothing. He's listed with the full 57 laps, but he's listed as retired. So I think it's sad, because I think, in fairness to the kid, he did really well. He's driving a car that people assume isn't going to be nearly as good as it was. He's driving it better than his extremely illustrious teammate, four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel. And he's been stuffed by politics. So I think that's a little unfortunate for him. Back of the grid, Kamui Kobayashi, Caterham, didn't make a single lap, crashed on first corner. Not a particularly good day at the races for him in his Caterham. Now, he is a pay driver in that he brings money with him. In fact, in order to get in, a fan club raised funds to get the ball rolling. So actually, Japanese race fans are responsible for Kamui's Caterham seat. Not nearly as good a seat for him as his previous seat at Sauber, and certainly nowhere near as good as his first Formula One seat at Toyota, where he proved fierce and fearless. Felipe Massa in the Williams, punted off by Kobayashi. Very unfortunate. Absolutely not his fault, but unfortunately he reverted to type at the end of the race and started calling for Kobayashi to receive all sorts of sanctions and so forth. And I was deeply unimpressed with the comments that he made, and I thought, no, this is not worthy of you, sir. You've proved to be much better than this in your last few years at Ferrari. Why would you revert to type when at Williams? Newly at Williams. So Lewis Hamilton, as I discussed in the Mercedes, he did 2 laps and his engine was not firing on one of the cylinders. This is unfortunate for him, because the Mercedes have looked imperious. I can't imagine what the problem with his car was that caused him. What the problem with the cylinder was that caused it to go, but go it did. Sebastian Vettel, 4-time world champion Sebastian Vettel, managed just one more lap than Lewis. He managed 3 laps. I nearly greased the wall with the side of my truck. So again, not a particularly good day at the office for him, although not necessarily his fault. He hadn't had much fun all weekend. He topped the table, the timing, never topped the timing table. Was up there on one of the 3 sessions, but not the kind of performance that we'd come to expect from 4-time world champion. Oops, nearly went down the wrong road there. Right, Marcus Ericsson, Caterham. Retired after 27 laps. He did all right. I wouldn't say he did brilliantly. I don't think the car is capable of giving him what he needs in order to show us what he's truly capable of. Although it does show what kind of a person a driver is by what he can do with a car that really doesn't live up to full billing. Witness Sebastian Vettel in a Toro Rosso that wasn't fantastic, still managed to win a race in his last season with Toro Rosso before he went to Red Bull. Next, Pastor Maldonado. Not a good day at the office for Pastor. 29 laps. Number 13, which is his race number, did not prove lucky for him. Romain Grosjean, a dreadful weekend for him. Didn't get out in any of the practice sessions. Started the race from the pit lane. Pretty much a disaster. In fact, I seem to remember both the Caterhams actually started from the pit lane as well after him, but as a result of not putting in a single qualifying lap, Romain started from the pit lane, and his weekend really didn't get much better than that. Jules Bianchi is the Marussia. Finished back of the grid. To be honest, he finished where I expected him to. It was either him or Max. Max outperformed him this year. In fairness, though, Max only finished one place above him. They were both lapped. Although Max's fastest lap was a full second faster than Jules's. Next, in Sauber, Esteban Gutierrez. Not a good showing for Sauber this weekend. Appalling. Just ahead of the two back of the grid teams. This is not where he should have been. Not in Sauber. Sauber proved themselves pretty good last season. They proved themselves very good the season before, and I'm very surprised that they are back where they are. But the team kind of lost. Well, the year before they lost Sergio Perez, who'd got 2 podiums and performed wonderfully. This year they've lost Nico Hülkenberg to Force India. And they threw away Kamui Kobayashi the year before. So I don't know where Sauber are going, but I fear that Sauber are going the way of all of the smaller teams that can't raise big finance, and that way is the dustbin. So Gutierrez was one of the debutants this season, as was Marcus Ericsson, who I mentioned earlier. Adrian Sutil, not a debutant, and this is first drive for a team other than Force India. He was in Sauber. To be honest, it seemed like a silly move, and that seems to have been borne out by the evidence of his position this weekend behind both the Force Indias. I'm wondering whether he's regretted, whether he took a stand at Force India and they called his bluff, and then he's had to go somewhere else. And the first half decent seat was Sauber. But I think that he has made a bit of an error. Possibly taking his seat at Force India was Sergio Perez, who I mentioned a moment ago, former McLaren driver for 1 year, former Sauber driver for 2 or 3 years. He looked really good, and then he went to McLaren. And given the equipment he had, it's not surprising that he didn't do well, but what is surprising is that given his pace in a Sauber, that he wasn't able to keep up with Jensen. And he wasn't. Right, next up, in 9th, we have Daniel Kvyat, the second of the 2 Toro Rossos. They were a surprise, given that they're driving the not-so-hot Renaults. They did reasonably well. Perez is the first points taker. Kvyat has got himself 2 World Championship points in his first race in his first season of Formula 1. That's not bad. It's not Lewis Hamilton good, but it's not bad. Next up, Jean-Eric Vergne, who remained at Toro Rosso. He was a teammate of Ricciardo before Ricciardo got his promotion to the Red Bull team. Next up, Kimi Räikkönen. Given that he had a crash in qualifying 2, and he looked pretty ordinary during the whole qualifying process, to be quite honest. That from a bad start, that's a pretty standard Kimi Raikkonen performance. He's hoisted his car from the back of the grid to the front, and I think if he'd got into qualifying 3, we would have been looking. He would have been fighting for a podium almost certainly. Or if not a podium, 4th or 5th with his teammate Alonso. Next up, Nico Hülkenberg, Force India. He's benefited from leaving Sauber. That's quite good. 6th place is quite good. Yeah, it's a reasonable haul of points. It's not a podium. It's not a race win, and he didn't get a pole position. But it's still a good performance. It's still a worthy performance from a very, very excellent driver, who I rate quite highly. I know I think the top teams need to start paying attention to. To be honest, given that Hülkenberg was leaving Sauber, I'm surprised that McLaren didn't give him a look. Next, 5th, an absolutely wonderful kamikaze sometimes, strong arm other times, imperious sometimes performance by Valtteri Bottas to get himself his 5th place. He finished 6th at the flag, but he's been promoted by Ricciardo's disqualification. Whoa, 24,000 from John. Good old John, we're over 1 million. That's the first time that I've seen 1 million on this particular bank balance. That's good. I like that. So, next up, the big boys. Fernando Alonso in the Ferrari. So Bottas was in his Williams, obviously, I mentioned that already. Fernando Alonso in the Ferrari. Ferrari did not have a particularly outstanding weekend. He qualified 5th and he finished 4th. He's made 1 place up, but 5th for Ferrari, it's just not good enough for the prancing horse. They should be higher than that. They really should. And that they're not is testament to the troubles that they're having this season. They're not. They've not coped. The Ferrari engine isn't as good as in the turbo era as it was in the V8 era. They have the resources, they have the budget, they have the people. They will get better, but it won't be in time, I think, to make a stab at a championship for Alonso. And if they keep Alonso away from silverware for too much longer, he will not stay. He can't afford to. He's got 2 world titles. He should have had 3 by now. He's good enough to have garnered 3. So in that was 4th place. In 3rd place, and hoisted onto the podium by Ricciardo's team's infraction by the Red Bull infraction, Jenson Button. He qualified 10th. Well, he actually qualified 11th, but he was raised to 10th by Bottas's engine. As a gearbox replacement. So he benefited from infractions all weekend. He benefited in qualifying from Bottas's engine, get some gearbox replacement, and he benefited from Ricciardo's from the Red Bull infraction in the race. He also benefited from the safety car when Bottas has sprayed his tyre and wheel oil all over the road. So given that he got screwed up by Raikkonen, I think that was made up for by a little bit by Bottas and by Ricciardo. Right, yeah, so I think he would have been higher. I think he would have been fighting to actually stand on the podium, and I doubt that Kevin Magnussen would have I doubt that Kevin Magnussen would have outperformed him this weekend had he not been held back by that poor qualification position, which I think is almost certainly as a result of Raikkonen's crash. Number 2, Kevin Magnussen. what a fantastic debut for this young man. Not almost as impressive as Ricciardo's. He's finished second, qualified fourth, finished second. He was with Ricciardo for most of the second half of the race. It was a very, very assured performance for someone who's taking his first part in the most senior racing formula, the pinnacle of any four-wheel racing driver's career ambitions is to drive in Formula One. I don't care what Americans say. Given a chance, they would all like to race in Formula One. It's where the best equipment is driven by the best drivers all over the world on some of the best circuits. It's surrounded by all the pomp and circumstance of the king of all racing formulas. It's on his first ever race to qualify fourth and to finish second shows Lewis Hamilton style maturity and poise, and I think he can be very proud of himself. I think McLaren are very relieved. They took a punt, and I think it was a worthy punt. Sergio Perez, for whatever reason, couldn't migrate to a top team. Maybe it was too soon for him. Maybe he's too rough and too ready, whereas Magnussen has got whatever it is, either at all or more quickly than Perez managed. But everyone thought it was a bit daft getting rid of Perez. I mean, he'd only had one shot at it. It seemed like a bit soon to be pulling the trigger on him. And Perez and Magnussen seemed a little inexperienced, but this is only one race result. This is only one race, but he has proved himself to be quite fast and reliable and mature, and I think he should be incredibly proud of that. Yeah. If I was Ron Dennis and Eric Boulier, I would be quite chuffed. I don't know whether it was Martin Whitmarsh that made that decision or not. I feel a little sorry for Martin. I don't think he's done anything particularly wrong, but he did steward McLaren through 2 wilderness years, and he stewarded Lewis Hamilton out of the team, which seems like a calamity, to be quite frank. So that leaves race winner Nico Rosberg, not Nico Hülkenberg. Nico Rosberg was almost the forgotten man of the race because he was out front for so much of it that you can almost forget he was there. He had a fantastic race. He never looked threatened. Every time anybody put the squeeze on him, particularly Ricciardo, he countered. Don't think he had the fastest lap. I think he might have had the fastest lap actually. 1:32.478. Yeah, I think he had the fastest lap, fastest car, fastest lap. He qualified third, behind Hamilton and behind Ricciardo. Ricciardo, was on one, but I think that we might find out that Ricciardo's qualifying performance had more to do with the amount of fuel that was chugging through his engine than his actual performance. But I'm not sure we'll ever know about that. You know what? I'm not going to take the risk. Every time I've done that, I've ended up paying the price. So, here we go. Come on. You know you want to. There's a good girl. That's it. Let's get past this. Yeah, I don't care about that. £80 when I've got over £1 million in the bank it's an irrelevance. Is there anything coming up? No. Let's overtake this little car. And we'll probably get another £80 fine any second now. Whoa. Let's not go around this corner too fast. We don't want to tip it over. We don't want to spray our forklifts all over the place. And we've got a right turn coming up, so let's slow the F down. Alright, and this is where we hit a bit of traffic. So yes, Nico Rosberg probably has got the least amount of press for the best, for a great performance. No one was really talking about him because they were talking about things like Bottas's 2 charges through the field. They were talking about Ricciardo's amazing performance, Magnussen's amazing performance. They were talking about how Vettel was nowhere to be seen. They were talking about how the Ferraris were struggling. They were talking about how the McLaren engine seemed to be the one. Sorry, the Mercedes engine seemed to be the one to have. So that's what was going on. That's what really people were talking about. That's what they've talked about post-race. Although the biggest subject has been Ricciardo's disqualification and Red Bull's subsequent decision to appeal that. I'm not sure what the deadline is for that appeal to be heard, and what the deadline is for the decision to be made. But there will come a point at which that decision has to be made, and we'll find out whether there'll be a number of people who have suddenly got themselves points that won't want to give up those points. And the podium, the trophies. Jensen didn't have a trophy on Sunday. Suddenly he got a trophy on Monday. So he won't want to give that up. He won't want to give that podium up. The FIA website and the BBC Sport website, which is the one I used for my Formula 1 news, all have the top 3 listed as Rosberg, Magnussen and Button. And unless that appeal is successful, that's not going to change. Whoa. Okay, so I got interrupted there. Okay, so we are in the Netherlands, which means that we are going to, I think, take a ferry at Europort. No, we're taking the train. Oh, that sucks. All right. That means that when we get to Dover, or before we get to Dover, we need to take some rest. Now, obviously, because of the break that's been enforced on me by the interruption, I won't have to stop. But I would rather have taken the ferry because it would have given me some rest. We've got 6 hours and 45 minutes to deliver, and 3.5 hours before we need to take a rest. That is not enough time to do this. And I don't think I get any time back on the train. So I am going to be late with this delivery, and I'm not 100% sure what I should have done to avert that. Maybe waiting an extra couple of hours before I took my rest break. Possibly have been a solution. Yeah, whatever. Still got over £1 million. Still not worried about speeding fines, wrong way fines, or red light fines. Because I just earned 4.2k. Let's turn the lights on so I can see where the heck I'm going. During the forced interruption, I did check out. By the time this video is up, the Red Bull appeal would have happened. It's the 14th or the 28th of April. I can't remember now, but it's in April. Their appeal is held. It will be heard in Paris, and I seem to remember that these appeals get a decision immediately. The team lodges an appeal. The materials to support their appeal are sent to those that are making the judgment. They then give a little defence of their position at the appeal itself. The people are all responsible for deciding whether that appeal is successful. Listen, and then once they've listened, they make their decision. And that should be that. Ah, it's a train. There is a freight train whizzing by. It's quite a short train. That's fine. Don't mind that. It means we get going pretty quickly. Come on, come on. Lift the barriers. There we go. I was going to speed by the bus. That's because I wasn't paying attention to the oncoming traffic. Yes, one doesn't want to do a header against a car transporter. Not transporter. Where on earth did that pronunciation come from? Oh, yeah, Gene, why couldn't you find a job? It's not my responsibility to hold your hand all the time. You get out there and put yourself about. There's work there to be had. I find a job every time. Why can't you? So I don't know what evidence I'm basing this on, whether it's just a hunch or intuition, which is a bit silly because you shouldn't really base. Whoa. And my hunches and intuition clearly don't always work, as we've just witnessed. But God, I've been watching How I Met Your Mother. But I don't believe that the FIA would make a decision like that if they didn't think they could defend it. And I think that Red Bull have to defend their position, so that people. I think if they hadn't defended their decision, their position, then the automatic assumption would be that they were cheating, deliberately, willfully cheating, and I think they'd rather take a fine and the associated costs of disputing it, so that people wouldn't be able to automatically say, "Oh, they didn't appeal, so they knew they were guilty." Oh crap! Oof, that was lucky. We are running out of time. We're running out of time. 2 hours left. We're quite away from Oh, a sailing ship! That is so cool. Can you see on the right, just underneath? You can't really tell because of the mirror. That is a sailing ship. That is awesome. I love little touches like that. I would love to know whether that's ProMods or whether that's SCS. Well, that is brilliant. I think I might have to run a vanilla Go East around here. Where are we on the map? We're between Rotterdam. We're in France. Hang on. What map is that? What road is that? Sorry. Does that say anywhere? Oh, that's helpful. All right, it's a B road. On the way to Calais, following the northern coast. That is genius. Oh, what a fantastic little touch. Oh, God, this Trameri truck is getting on my wick. No. I wouldn't be nearly this impatient in real life. Oh, we're getting tired. I think we've probably got an hour and a half left. Yeah, exactly an hour and a half left. We are going to get the other side. Croydon is actually quite close, although the problem is you've got to sort of take the M25 around London and then get to it from there. You can't do it from inside central London, which you can do in real life, although actually, particularly speaking, you probably wouldn't want to. Croydon's... Oh, this is just driving me bonkers. Come on. I want to brake in the traffic. I don't want to be stuck behind the slow coach. 50k, are you kidding me? And of course, the second I get a bit of open traffic, this bugger speeds up. Right, there we go. That would be a rest spot, but we're not going to take it. I'm going to hope that we get a couple of hours back from the train. I don't know that we will, but I hope we might be able to. Come on. Another 3k. Lucy, good old Lucy. So we're up to 1.06 million. Of course, now we're at a hill. We've lost all of our momentum. It's a bit of a struggle. But there is a car shielding us from oncoming traffic at the moment. Oh, we've got to get in. Stuck behind a bus, and at least you can see through a bus. It's the biggest problem with following a lorry is there's nothing that you can't see through it. You can't judge oncoming traffic. Whoa, crap. Whoa, 10 grand from Cameron. Almost £11,000 from Cameron. That's beautiful. Right, where are we? We're very near to the yeah, you're going to be far too bloody slow. We're very near to Calais, so we might get some sleep fines. Right, we've got a right turn here, so let's give it a wide berth so we can right, not too fast around these, because they can cause damage to your truck. More importantly, they can cause damage to your trailer. Whoa. Another 3 grand. We're up to 1.08. This is good news. This is what we like to see. We like to see income. Yeah, I know we're getting tired, and hopefully we'll get an hour or two's grace from the Eurotunnel. We'll see. We're not taking the port. More's the pity. We would certainly get a couple of hours. I don't understand why you don't get any time back from the Eurotunnel. The vehicle's not moving, you're not driving it, it's at rest. Right. 10 minutes. And hopefully we should be on the tunnel by then. On the Eurostar. Right, I need to get past this truck because I've got a feeling we've got a right turn coming up soon. Yeah, I don't want that. No, don't do that. Yeah, we do. We have to peel off here. Oh, you scumbag. No, I don't want slow red van in front of me. Get out of my way, slow red van. Move. Right. So that building that is where we are turning right to get onto the Eurostar. Give it a swing it out wide. Let's get our butts on a train. What the heck was that? Loan installment? Sleeping offence. That was our first 80 bucks sleeping offence. So this is the one we want. And there we go. Right then, Folkestone, 35 minutes. Oh, that's why we're not getting any sleep. Okay, we're going to be late. Actually, no. What we're going to do is we're going to swallow the sleep fines. We have no choice. So it's saying almost 2 hours. Oh God, we're going to get a sleep fine every 15 minutes. It's also going to start blacking out. That doesn't help because you end up doing damage to your truck. I must remember that we're driving on the left-hand side of the road now because we're in the UK. I can take that corner because this is a 2-lane road. This is the exit-only road. And then we're going to join. So we're looking at 8 sleep fines of £80 each. Is it £80? Or is it 100? I forget now. We're in a hurry. We are in a hurry. Nicely done. Wow. We're almost at 1.1 million. It feels weird saying that. Saying million instead of thousands. Or hundreds of thousands. Right, what we're in is a rush, and what we don't want is slow traffic. And what we want to be able to do is make up some time. And let's see if that's what we... Yeah, I know. That's what we can't do. So we're now getting warnings. I don't know how much grace we've got until we start getting the blackouts. And I do hope that we get the blackouts on straight roads rather than curves or in a town. Or during parking is even worse. 120, so that's 240. Alright, we need to be over. Slow down a little for this. Put my foot back on the pedals so we can get some momentum to go up. And then we're taking a right-hander. Nicely done. Right, we got through the first half an hour without blacking out, which is good. That is good. Yeah, I know, we're getting tired. And I think the next is another fine. Yeah. I don't know when that happens, so let's start. We got the warning at midnight. Let's see how quickly we get the fine after the warning, and whether that fine... Alright, I was going to overtake this guy, but we've got to take a left turn, so... Oh, crap. That was quite bad. I think my brain was mentally, I'm going on the left-hand lane, and I can't on these because it leads you in the opposite direction. 6% damage. That probably means I've got 2 to 3% damage on load. For shit. That's not good. This is going to be a bit of a disaster run. I'm going to get satisfactory at this rate. Yeah, I know. I know I'm tired. I also know there's a service is coming up, but I also know I've got 15 hours. What the hell am I worried about? Oh, you idiot. Okay. Sometimes I wonder what's going on in my head. That was £240 I didn't need to spend. Not that I'm worried about 240 quid, it's not a lot of money, but it did mean that I was driving a little bit more recklessly than I'm used to. Oh crap, is that... I think that's car parking rather than truck parking. Okay, that'll do. Let's sleep quickly. Thank goodness, daylight, engine on, let's rock. So, 50 minutes, it should take 50 minutes to deliver. We've got 6 hours to do it. Okay, that's annoying. That's annoying. That's me not paying attention. Oof, more money. I got 100, nearly 100 grand in that little rest. So I've probably got about 5 minutes to finish this journey before I have to leave. I have things to do in the real world, unfortunately. Okay, I've pressed the map. I've stuffed myself up with the map there. Okay, no speeding fine, really? Wow, got lucky there. I am in the UK, I would have expected to get a speeding fine. It's my thing in this game. Bad parking and speeding fines. Okay. Alright, let's get in the middle lane because we don't want to go and turn off. We will be siphoned off if we're not careful. And there we were. Actually, we would have been alright. We could have driven over those hash marks. So we're nearly there. Now it's just down to my bad parking, and that's that. So yes, I've kind of calculated that I need to have 81 videos in the bank to suffice until the laptop gets back to London. I will be able to do fewer of these videos in London because I'll be doing them. I'll be working during the day and I'll be doing these things in the evening, and they won't be as easy to do. Oh, traffic! I hate traffic. Oh, I need to turn off, so I need to be here. Alright, I've got a left turn coming up. So let's come on. Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm talking about. Don't let me down. Oh, you swine. So yes, that was the Australian Grand Prix in Albert Park in Melbourne. Albert Park itself is outside the city centre itself. It's wrapped around, as I said, it's around a lake. I believe that that's reclaimed land and it's a man-made lake. I'm not 100% certain. It may be that I'm thinking of... Oh, I've discovered Croydon, I love them. It means also that I'm driving on virgin roads. I haven't got time, unfortunately, to wander around the roads now, so what I will probably do is at the beginning of the next video, before I rest and recuperate, I will circumnavigate. Yeah, I know. I'll circumnavigate Croydon and pick up all the roads. I am speeding a little because I've got real world crap to do, unfortunately. I think this is me. Excellent. Right, so what I'm going to do... No, wrong way. Let's see if I can do the requisite straightening out. Not yet. At the right time. And then have this all in like 1.1.5 goes. Yes! Oh! Sweet as they say around here. Choice! As they say in New Zealand. So, let's... Parking brake on. Engine off. Let's unhook the trailer. Good work! That's better than expected. I thought I would get a satisfactory, but I got a good work. So, 1,710 kilometres, 41 hours and 2 minutes of time, 633.5 litres of fuel used, base reward of £30,157 and 1,710 XP, a proficiency bonus for level 28 of £12,666, a skill long distance delivery bonus for skill rank 5 of £5,887 and 427 XP, a high value cargo bonus for skill rank 5 of £7,350, £359 and 307 XP, an urgent delivery bonus for skill rank 4 of £5,887 and 513 XP, a bonus for parking the trailer of 45 XP, which we needed because our damage penalty was up to 5%. It always whacks an extra percent when you get into the bloody depot, even if you don't touch anything. So we inflicted 5% on the cargo. It cost us £574. It cost us 59 XP, but we mitigated that by parking a little bit. So total reward of £61,382 and 2,943 XP. Look at that! Look at that green bar. That is a huge chunk of XP, and we are within a nuts. We will certainly level up to level 29 at the end of the next journey. So this profile has a lifetime XP of 92,503. We're still looking at 92,900 to level up. But that has been our journey from Białystok in the northeast corner of Poland to Croydon in west London. So, thank you so much for sticking with me on this video. If you're not into Formula 1, I do apologise, but I had to talk about it. Formula 1 is a thing for me as much as football is and movies. And with that, given that I am on a clock and I have stuff to do in the real world, I do apologise. I'll take more time with you next time. But if you've watched this video, thank you very much. And until I see you in the next video, I'll see you on the road.